Now, in last video, we talked about the winners and losers of this NBA draft, and that video was mostly centered around the bigger players in the draft that a lot of us know, or at least mid-first round guys, lottery guys. What we were discussing in that video, we were discussing pretty much only first round players in that video. But in today's video, we're going to be discussing guys that are possibly flying under the radar in this draft class and have found new homes, obviously. And guys, you should keep your eye on going into this NBA season. And even if they don't make an impact in their rookie season, some of these guys either, have the ability to contribute right away as late picks, or have the upside to eventually become really good players as late picks. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about that. Some of the steals, in my opinion, of the 2022 NBA draft. Now, the first guy I want to talk about got drafted by the Charlotte Hornets at pick 40, I believe. And that is Bryce McGowan, the freshman out of Nebraska. He's a long scorer, lanky guy, had a very high usage rate at Nebraska, and did not shoot the ball great and did not pass the ball a lot. But he has the tools to become a really good scorer. As I said, he's very young. He's got a long wingspan. He's a lanky guy, and he's like a 6'8 guard. He's got a good handle, and he has a good shooting stroke, but he did not shoot great percentages, partly because of shot selection and the teammates he had, which can be fixed and I think will be fixed at the NBA level, at least to a certain extent, because he's going to be playing with better players and he's not going to be the main guy on his team. But with him, I really see upside, mostly as a scorer, but also as a defender with the length he has now. Most of that as a defender is hypothetical, but some scoring performances he had this season were really impressive, and he was a all Big Ten third team, averaged around 16 a game, did not shoot great as I said, but this man, the length, the touch, the handle, he has the tools to become a very effective scorer in this league, and he is the first guy in this draft class that I really thought should have gone higher. I thought he was going to be a first round pick. I thought he maybe was a target for the Grizzlies with 22 and 29, I believe, the picks they had going into the night. And he could give Charlotte a really nice scoring wing to complement LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier. And now Mark Williams in the future. He won't play this year. They also have James Bouknight. Charlotte doesn't play rookies, or haven't. We'll see with the new coach, as they just did rehire Steve Clifford. James Borrego was fired, and they had the Kenny Atkinson situation, but he will be staying in Golden State, as we know. But Bryce McGowan, a few years down the line, could turn into a really good scorer, and he is the first player of this video that I feel like was a real steal for the Charlotte Hornets in this year's NBA draft. Now, next up, a pick from the Grizzlies, from VCU, Vince Williams Jr. Now, he's much older than McGowan. I think he's 3 or 4 years older. He's 22 years old, and he's a wing that very strong. I think he stands around 6'6", but didn't go very high because he doesn't have any elite athleticism or length, and he's a guy that is older, as I said, but he's a wing who shot 40% from three, can pass the ball, can handle the ball, and can score, and is a good defender. And I think he's one of those guys where sometimes front offices get too cute. Like, just pick this guy. Like, he was a really good college player. He can shoot, he can defend, and he shows some playmaking ability too. And with the Grizzlies' ability to develop players so well, one of the best in the league currently at developing players, I think he could turn into a very solid rotation player in that Grizzlies team. Kyle Anderson might leave, Tyus Jones might leave. There will be some rotation spots opening up, and obviously they can't pay all of their young core, but maybe backing up Zaire Williams in the future. He brings three-point shooting, a little passing, and some defense, as I said. And he's more of a guy compared to McGowan's, who a few years down the line I think will be good. I think Vince Williams Jr. from the jump will be a solid player. If he wasn't, I mean, he probably wouldn't be picked. He's already 22 years old, as I said. But Vince Williams Jr., especially with the Grizzlies' track record recently, with being able to put young players in good positions and develop them, he's a guy definitely to look out for in Memphis. Now, the third guy is the only first-round pick on this list. That's Marjon Bateman. He has a very nice story. He was crying a lot when he got drafted, and he was picked by the Milwaukee Bucks. He played in the G League Ignite this past season, and he's just like a hustle guy. He's just a guy you want on your team. He's a good defender. He can handle a little bit, but he plays really hard. He's a good defender. He can handle and pass a little bit, and he's very athletic. But he just can't really shoot yet. And he won't have to play immediately in Milwaukee. I think he could be decent right away, but he won't get that time immediately. He may be back in the G League, but he's a guy that, you just want on your team with the type of hustle he plays with, how hard he plays, the defense he brings, and the athleticism he has. He's a willing passer, and he's just a good teammate. I think he's just going to be a really nice glue guy down the line for Milwaukee, and I'm rooting for him. Like I said, his story, he was homeless for a little bit, and he was so emotional when he got drafted. He's a really hard worker, he's known as, and if he gets that shot down, he could be a really nice complementary player to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, the last player on this list, probably going into this draft, the most people thought he was going to go in the first round. He was mocked, I saw like 17 to the Bulls, but he ended up going 41 to the New Orleans Pelicans, and that is E.J. Liddell. And I think he's another case of front offices maybe trying to get too cute. This dude was a really good college player. He could score. He could pass. He's a bit of an undersized 4. He's like 6'6", 6'7". He's not super undersized, but I think he could back up Zion Williamson in New Orleans and be a guy that gets you some buckets off the bench. He's not going to be a main scorer, but as a complimentary guy, he's just a very well-rounded player. He brings defense, he brings passing, all-around solid college player, but he's also a guy that teams, they don't see that elite athleticism. And I think he's stayed in school for 2 or 3 years, I want to say. He's 21 or 22, I believe. And he's just an all-around solid guy. And I think he's maybe the safest bet on this list. He was a really good college player, and he's also in New Orleans with one of the best shooting coaches in the league they have. If he can continue to get better shooting the three, I think he can be a really nice complementary offensive piece. And all these guys will probably be, complementary pieces because that's what you're looking for. That's the best case scenario in the second round, realistically, unless you get a complete gem like Jokic or Draymond. But I just wanted to say some guys that I think went later and could be really good from this draft. Thank y'all for watching.